Now we're going to take a look at the way of viewing a clinical chart and the various ways that you can view patient information. So the first thing I'm going to do for my dashboard is I'm going to select one of my patients who's ready to be seen. This is going to take me directly to this patient's account. Now it's going to open up today's new visit, which is going to show me any information that's previously been entered. This may have been entered through the patient portal by the patient online, or this could be information that's been entered by one of my staff prior to me seeing the patient. Whenever we open up a new visit, we also automatically open the patient's last visit. So without going to any additional screens or doing multiple different clicks, you've got the information from that patient's previous visit readily available. You can go right to the screen, and if the patient's here for a follow-up, you can choose to copy forward this previous note into today's visit. So I can select this previous visit. It's going to show me all of the information that was entered. I can select to choose everything and copy it into today's note, or I can pick and choose which parts I want to copy. Now, there are many other ways of viewing information about the patient. First, we can go to the patient's chart. A patient's chart, much like the dashboard, is a customizable grouping of panels, which are panels of like items. So all of the patient's problems, their past medical history, their medications, any prior visits they've had, documents that are in their queue, tests that they've received, procedures that have been done. And this is customizable per user, so each person can have their own view of a patient via the chart. Now, there are other ways of viewing information about a patient, and these are all optional. But each user or physician can capture this information and display it in different ways. There are things like a timeline view that shows you chronologically over time how a patient has been seen. So I can see a list of medications and when those medications were prescribed and how that's changed over time. I can see their tests that have been given over time, procedures that have been done over time. You also have something called a visit view. And a visit view is a way of viewing the patient chronologically by visit. So without going to multiple different visits and trying to get summaries of these notes, the visit view will show you automatically the visit date, what the diagnosis were, what prescriptions were written, tests that were performed, procedures that were done, and any exam findings. So very quickly, I can see how this patient has progressed over time, what changes in medication, diagnosis, and tests they've had. This will also show me things like any test results that we're still awaiting. This screen does let you select different values and view the results from that value. You can view things like the patient's exam findings. So very quickly, I can get the information about previous visits. I can select one of those visits and copy that into today's note if that's applicable. There are also flow sheets that can be added to patients. And flow sheets can pull any information that you want and it will summarize that chronologically. So I can view this patient's systolic and diastolic blood pressures over a period of time, what values have been entered. And you can set these up to contain as much or as little information as you want. All of the values are customizable. Now, one of the other things that's unique about this system is we give you quick options to go view other records. So I can very quickly go to this other patient's chart without going to multiple search screens or going to different areas, and it'll take me directly into that patient's account. Now, from things like the patient's chart, you also have the ability to do graphing and trending of various test results. So very quickly, I can say that I want to trend this patient's lab results, and I can select which particular items I want. I can select the values, and it will show me on a graph how those values have changed over time. Also included in a patient's record is a list of their documents. Documents can be scanned documents, imported Word documents, it can be PDFs. Anything that comes into the system gets stored in a folder that's customizable, with a file type and comments that are also customizable. This can include things like a patient's external lab results, and it will show you whether or not they have any annotations added, whether or not it's been reviewed. All of that information will be shown directly from these document queues. Now you also have the ability to select the patient's name, which will take you directly into the administrative side of the account. This will show you all of the patient's demographics, any photos of the patients, any insurance that's been added for this particular patient, authorization information, their claims ledger, appointments, documents, additional info. All of this is readily available by clicking on the patient's name. And whenever you're ready, you can always return to the clinical chart. When you're ready to see this patient again, you can go directly to the new visit and begin entering information. And we'll take a look at that.